So, here is how I came to love Ted Lasso and why I recommend it to all of my friends and clients. One night, I was watching Brian and Garrett watch the show together. The clean parts, of course, because mind you, it has a fair amount of cursing in it. So we try to let our son only watch the clean parts. But there's even a portion of one episode that talks about why children shouldn't curse. And I think that's just fabulous. Those old shows, whether you liked them or not, the ones that provided a lesson, Family Ties, The Cosby Show. Cosby Show is probably not a very good example, but those types of shows, and Hans is making an appearance today, guys. But those types of shows, that's kind of what it reminds me of, but just a much better production value. So Brian had been recommending the show to me, as he and I have the same taste in shows. And I'm sitting there watching him and Garrett watch it together, and they're really bonding over this Thanksgiving episode. It's the Thanksgiving episode. It's a scene where, if you've seen the show, and if you haven't seen the show, you should definitely see the Thanksgiving episode. But it's where all the soccer players come from all walks of life, all different countries. They come together, and the remainder of the show involves a good lesson about bullying, as one of the soccer players' nieces is being bullied at school. And it also provides a great lesson on personal hygiene. You'll have to watch the show to really appreciate it. But I immediately, my point in telling you this story, as I was watching Garrett and Brian watch the show, I immediately felt my spirits lift. I was smiling. How many times do you actually smile watching a television show these days? So there's the first reason I believe every human being should watch Ted Lasso. It's a happy show. Okay, so it makes you happy. There's some fantastic television on right now, but when I look for lessons and messages, too often the shows are fantastic, but they're dark, and it can put you in a bad place if you're already going, or you're in a bad place mentally. And if you're going through a divorce or you're having a difficult time, you may already be in that place, so you don't want to go down that path. So this show is not that. It's funny, it's uplifting, it's thought-provoking and thoughtful, and it has some wonderful character development. And I'll get into that in a minute. Nate and some of the other characters are just fantastic. So the second reason, so that's the first thing I love about it. My top 3 reasons you should watch the show. The first thing I love about it, it's a happy show. And there's too much on television right now that's not happy. The second reason I love it is because the characters are likable and also relatable. Too often we see likable characters on television who aren't relatable. And these characters have some very relatable struggles. They might be professional soccer players, but the struggles they're going through are struggles we can all relate to. Roy Kent, for example, is battling getting older while still remaining relevant in the soccer world. Ted Lasso, the main character, and the team owner, Rebecca, are both struggling with their relationships, their past relationships with their parents, and both are going through a divorce. Interestingly, it's Rebecca and Sam. I don't know if you remember that from Cheers, but the guy who plays the main character, who plays Ted Lasso, is actually the nephew of Norm from Cheers. So yes, Jason Sudeikis is related to Norm from Cheers. And if you look at their faces, you can see it just a little bit. So that's a really interesting fact about the show. And in fact, in one of the shows, if you look really hard, you can see a picture of Norm from Cheers on one of the walls. I think that's in the second season. But the past relationships that both Ted and Rebecca are struggling with, in terms of with their parents, and both are going through a divorce, that is really a touching thing, and how they deal with life's challenges. Nate, and I'm going to touch on Nate in a minute. I mentioned him before. Nate, he's going through a battle with himself. And I think too often we go through battles with ourselves if we're going through a divorce, or we're just going through a difficult time, or trying to make a big life change. So it's definitely got that sort of character development where the characters are positive characters, positive role models, but relatable, even if they're not going through the same struggle you're going through. So let's talk about the third reason I love the show, and that's Nate. And I don't know how much of it is the writing or the acting or both, but both the writing and the acting combine to make just a very layered character. Nate, as I said, is battling with himself. And so often if you are going through a difficult time, if you're going through a difficult divorce, or you're going just through a difficult time with your corporation, you're trying to form a corporation, you're going through a difficult time. And I'll have some advice on that when in my next segment when I review 2 books, one of which is specifically on management. But I think the combination of the writing and the acting put Nate in a really good position to make him a terrific layered character. So there's some fantastic scenes with Nate's father. And I think one of the main themes of this show, by the way, is father-son relationships, which I think is why it was so interesting to see my son and husband watching it together. There were just some great little lessons in there. But Nate is battling with himself in part because of a relationship he has with his father. And you don't have to have a difficult father-son relationship. It can be a mother-daughter relationship. But I think there's a lot to relate to in this show in terms of the dynamics between parent and child that are going on. So there's some fantastic scenes where Nate's father, where you see why he's having this battle with his confidence and with who he is. Throughout the first season, he is one of the friendliest characters, and we see him go from basically the team towel boy of sorts to a trusted associate of Ted's. I don't want to give away too many spoilers. This is a no spoilers review. It's supposed to be a no spoilers review. But there's a great scene where he actually spits on himself in the mirror. And the actor is so wonderful in this. But it's in the second season after he's done something he considers despicable. And I won't give that away. But in a moment of great newfound confidence, he does something despicable. So it's really interesting to see that battle with himself. And how it evolves and what relationships led to it and what he's trying to struggle through and how that changes how he interacts with the world and with the team and with Ted. Great lessons there. So there are also some fantastic scenes with Nate's father, who no matter how much Nate accomplishes, can't seem to show his son his love for him. So Nate, you see him try to get that love from Ted. So it's just a really interesting dynamic going on between the characters. We also see the main character, Ted Lasso, struggling with his past with his father. Definitely don't want to give away any spoilers there. That takes place in the second season where they really develop that story. But beneath that sunny exterior is a deep connection between that and the divorce which he's going through. And if you're going through a divorce, this is definitely a show kind of like The Divorce, which I have reviewed previously, that you'll want to watch. So those are my top 3 reasons to watch, why every human being should watch Ted Lasso. Happy show, wonderful character development, the lessons in it. It's just Nate. That's my 3rd reason, Nate. Happy show, great character development, and I think we focus on Nate, and I'll get to why in a minute. So those are my top 3 reasons. If it shows, books, movies. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, or you can check out our website, themillerlawfirmpa.com. What are your thoughts after watching Ted Lasso? Is it one of your favorite shows, or do you have yet to watch it? And once you watch it, what are your thoughts on it? I think it's a wonderful show. It's one of the best shows, new shows I've seen to come out. The scene with Nate and the struggles Nate is going through, I think that's just really imperative for anybody going through a battle with themselves in a difficult time, in a divorce, in their personal life or in their professional life. That is a wonderful scene to watch. So my next segment, and that touches on this Nate and looking at himself in the mirror and spitting on himself. Okay, I've got 2 books we're going to read. Okay, Nate needs to read this. Number 1 is The High Five Habit. If I've given anybody a high five in this office, they're going to now know why. I just think this is a terrific book. And her name's Mel Robbins. Who can't love somebody named Mel, right? I think Mel Robbins is fantastic. She's interesting background. She's an attorney turned professional motivator, but she doesn't like the word motivation. But she's basically a life coach. And I'm typically not really fond of life coaches, so it says a lot that I actually liked this book. But I definitely think Nate needs to read the character Nate needs to read The High Five Habit, or anybody who identifies with that character Nate. Wonderful book. I've highlighted it for you. I'll be going through the highlights. The other book is a book by a local. I consider Georgia local. It's a local author, and thank you, Caitlin Greenstein, for giving the book to me. And I'm sorry I've held it so long, but that book is Find Your Yellow Jacket, and it's about the ownership. It's about the owner of the Savannah Bananas, and it's just a baseball team, and it goes through managing and building that baseball team and really finding who you are and how that can improve your business. So if you're trying to grow your corporation, my husband does corporate law and advises people on businesses. That is a wonderful book to read if you're trying to grow your business. So if you have any thoughts on those, I challenge you to read Find Your Yellow Jacket. You can find the title anywhere, and The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. I say it's the Yellow Book Challenge because they're both yellow books, as you can see with the Mel Robbins book. And I promised Caitlin I have the other book. So I'm still highlighting it. One of the things I love about that particular book, about Find Your Yellow Jacket, is there are it's Find Your Yellow Tux. Sorry, do not let me mess that up. Find Your Yellow Tux. Find Your Yellow Tux, Tux. And it's yellow, and Cohen is the name of the author. Cohen, I believe. But look up Find Your Yellow Tux. Read it. Read The High Five Habit. It took me a week to read both. I really look forward to your thoughts on it and to you tuning in. Like I said, I want to lift people up, and I think these are two very uplifting and inspirational books. So, until next time, eat, drink, and be merry. Art, law, and entertain to your heart's content. Happy Friday to everyone. See you next time.